So I just finished. Should I get some more light in here? What do you think? It's probably a little better. I just finished Star Wars Tales of the Underworld, and it was making me think it's been a while since I ranted about something, and it was really only a matter of time until the rant subject turned into Star Wars. So here I am, embracing fate, embracing the inevitability that I am doomed to become a Star Wars YouTuber. Every year or so, Lucasfilm Animation decides to poke some Clone Wars characters with a stick. The stick in question comes in the form of a limited series, each consisting of 6 episodes. Each series has 2 central characters who get 3 episodes each. This began in October 2022 with Tales of the Jedi. They then took a break for a year to focus on other projects while we all sat around wondering when Season 2 would be out, and then we were shocked to discover there would be no Season 2, but in fact, a second Season 1. That's right, it's time for Tales of the Empire, seemingly solidifying the new May 4th release date, culminating in this year's Tales of the Underworld. Being on year 3 of this trend, if you ignore the break in 2023, I'd say it's been pulled off with pretty equivalent degrees of success. The consensus seems to be that it's pretty alright, and that usually one of the stories is better than the other one. It's usually the one involving the male character. And I know what you're thinking, Tales of the Empire doesn't even have a central male character. It's also the lowest rated of the 3. Is it safe to say that I think this fanbase has a serious problem? To get into my personal thoughts on the Star Wars Tales of series, I kind of think the reviews would be a little more harsh if anyone other than Clone Wars fans were watching these, but I think we're in a safe space. Me personally, I'm never going to complain about more Star Wars. I have that dog in me. I got that loth cat in me. I love the idea of Star Wars as this giant tapestry of stories that all connect and converse with each other. I love just watching through the whole everything in chronological order, and every time I get a new piece, I'm excited to see where it fits into the larger puzzle. So I'm never going to be mad about... I got it. That's pretty gross. I'm never going to be mad about new Star Wars, but that doesn't mean I can't be realistic about this. My favorite food is pizza, right? I'll eat pretty much any pizza. That doesn't mean I don't know what makes pizza good or bad. It's just my favorite. And while I've been very much enjoying the Star Wars Tales of Pizza, I can't help but notice when there seems to be an ingredient missing. There's some sort of special sauce or spice or something that isn't quite there. And I think that I have it all figured out. So, if you'll allow it, and with much love in my heart, this is How to Fix Star Wars Tales of. First, we need to identify the problem, and that's a little hard to do because I live in this crossroad between Star Wars fanboy and film critic. The critic in me wants to say the writing is dog shit and the voice actors need a lot more direction, and the fanboy in me wants to say, why is Barriss Offee in a show about the Empire? There's this internal battle between the art I want to see in the world and the Star Wars I want to see in the world. And while I'd love to appease both my inner critic and fanboy, I recognize that it can't all be Andor all the time. So I think I'm going to try to attack this from the fanboy perspective because it feels less pretentious. Marginally less pretentious. My issue with the Star Wars Tales of series is that, and this is where I'll probably be getting into spoilers territory, by the way, it feels like they are so close to providing some closure for all those Clone Wars loose ends. Like, yes, of course I wanted to know what happened to Asajj Ventress and Barriss Offee, but all you told me essentially is that they're alive. And of course I recognize that the books exist, but here's the thing, I don't care. Because if you establish a character in a show, I want to see what happens to them in the show, or at least one of the adjacent ones. Ventress is actually one of the oldest characters in Star Wars animation. She predates Ahsoka, and apparently she has this whole arc where she falls in love with Quinlan Voss and dies honorably in the glorious heat of battle, but I wouldn't know that because it's in a book. But instead of showing any of that, they drop us in after all of that, casually resurrect her from the dead, and then have her reenact the events of the Obi-Wan show with this little Pinocchio Jedi, and then they ride off into the sunset as mother and son? What? That's not closure. You just answered my question with another question. How did Asajj Ventress die? Don't worry, she actually came back to life. Okay? Where were they during the events of all of these? What are they planning? Are they going to be in Ahsoka Season 2? Why wasn't Lyko one of the Jedi voices that Rey heard? Was he alive? Was he at the Battle of Exegol? Is any of this going to be relevant to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Also, they can resurrect people? But not all the episodes in Star Wars Tales of are meant to tie up loose ends. Some of them are simply there to add little tidbits of context that might not be completely necessary, but are certainly very interesting. Count Dooku's gradual fall to the dark side over a long period of time is very compelling to watch, and honestly it kind of changed the way that I view the prequels. And I really enjoy the anthropologic aspect of the Morgan Elsbeth episodes because it's kind of more about how a specific place is affected by the Empire over time. But at the same time, with these little bits of context, there's also a serious risk of over-explaining, which I think is very much exemplified by these most recent Cad Bane episodes. Cad Bane is just like this secret weapon of Lucasfilm. Every time you ask them what happened to Corky Kryze, they write something about Cad Bane. Every time you ask, hey, where's Hondo Ohnaka at? They write Cad Bane into a story, and it gets less impactful every time. I'm so down to learn more about Dooku, Obi-Wan, Han Solo, Wicket, even guys like Maul and Boba Fett who do run the risk of wearing out their auras. But with Cad Bane, the whole thing is the mystique. Boba Fett was once the cool desperado of the Star Wars universe, but then they realized that they could flesh him out quite a bit more, which meant they needed a new desperado. And boy did they have a hit with Cad Bane. I mean, this guy clearly fucks. Look at the toothpick. That's actually one of the key differences between Boba Fett and Cad Bane, is that Boba Fett is notoriously opposed to premarital sex. But we keep asking them, what happened to Peppy Bao? What happened to Jabo Hood? And they keep saying, we don't know. Here's Corey Burton as Cad Bane. He fucks. He fucks so much that he has a son now. His fucking has impacted the canon. Are you happy? Cad Bane has now entered the Star Wars Parenthood group chat on Facebook, which means they must have busted out the main writers for this one. Is Cad Bane's son gonna come back and kill Boba Fett in Book of Boba Fett Season 2? Was he at the Battle of Exegol? Thank you so much for the new mysteries. Hey, wasn't there a Clone Wars arc that involved Fett and Bane's rivalry and subsequent duel that was fully voice acted and partially animated and held major impetus over the Book of Boba Fett's backstory but was somehow never released? And haven't you had like 3 opportunities to show that? Just a thought. To be honest, I somewhat naively still had hope that one day we would see this iconic showdown. And it seemed like Tales of the Jedi and Empire were making an effort to tie up some of the loose ends of the Clone Wars. I thought, ooh, maybe someday we'll get Tales of the Bounty Hunters. That would be a pretty much perfect place to show that. But then they did that. And half of it was Asajj Ventress, a separatist Night Sister, literally just doing Jedi shit the whole time. And the other half was sympathy for Cad Bane, wrapped in honestly a kind of regrettable class commentary, posing as a Western tragedy. So close to what we wanted, these two stories logically could coincide with second seasons of Obi-Wan and Boba Fett respectively, but neither of those are ever going to happen. So I guess we're gonna have to make Tales of the Underworld, aka Season 2. Which brings me to my next issue, time. By choosing this format, this limited series format, they have robbed themselves of time. And by robbing themselves of time, they have robbed themselves of impact. Tales of the Jedi would be so much more impactful to me if I got to spend time with more than 2 characters. Look, I love Ahsoka so much. And Dooku's fairly interesting too. I wouldn't trade those stories for other ones. But man, I'd really love to know what Yoda was up to all those years losing his mind on ketamine out in Dagobah. I'd love to maybe see Luke somewhere between the originals and the sequels. We all know he's in the sandbox. Maybe bring Cal Kestis out to say his iconic line. I'd honestly love to hear more about all those one-off Clone Wars Jedi. Like, give me a Pong Krell story, or an I'm gonna die story. But no, we only got 1 season, which kind of makes it look like the only Jedi ideas they had left involved Dooku, a separatist darkside user, and Ahsoka Tano, who has her own television show. This is where the issue of time also brings up another issue around the categorization, which I recognize is pedantic, but I chose the fanboy route, and I'm sticking to it. I wouldn't mind Barriss Offee being in a show about the Empire if she wasn't one of the 2 characters they chose to represent that narrative. How many fucking stormtroopers are there? How many pilots, technicians, generals, royal guards, fucking inquisitors? Veer's Watch has been waiting for so long. It's time to give them something to hold on to. You could acknowledge Reva's existence. You could show Tarkin climbing the corporate ladder. You could bring Werner Herzog back and elaborate on his character. Please, I'm begging you. You could do some hijinks with the 2 scout troopers from The Mandalorian. Maybe show them escaping the Ewoks at the Battle of Endor. Fucking Luminara, Barriss's old master, has been established as relevant to the Empire. I want to know what happened there. And I know, the books, again, don't care. But no. 1 season. I don't even need to stand here and tell you how much cool shit could go into the Underworld series. Remember Aura Singh? I mean, her name is literally Aura. She's gotta have one of the strangest lifespans as a Star Wars character ever, right? I mean, from a prominent extra in a Phantom Menace pickup shot to a briefly important antagonist in the Clone Wars to a name drop with confirmation of death in Solo. And apparently, she dies at the hand of Tobias Beckett, who also happens to be a character I would love to know more about. I think an arc involving either of those characters, or preferably both of them, would be so choice to me, but maybe I'm the only person who actively wants that. I don't know. Remember these motherfuckers? Where did they come from? Where did they go, you know? The game Jedi Fallen Order has a group of bounty hunters called the Haxian Brood who capture people and put them in a gladiator ring. That's interesting no matter what the combination of characters is. You could put R2 and 3PO in there, it would still be good. I'm just giving you these ideas for free, Lucasfilm. I promise I will not be mad if you take any of them. The way I see it, Lucasfilm, you've got 2 options. 2 pathways sprawling before you. One pathway says Tales of the Jedi Season 2. The other pathway says Tales of the Jawas 100 miles. Why 100 miles? Because of course you wouldn't get there immediately. You've got so much cool shit left to get to. I understand that. Star Wars has cool shit in abundance. Tales of the Rebellion, Tales of the Sith, Tales of the Night Sisters, Tales of the Droids, Tales of the Wills, Tales of the Wookiees. I want all of that stuff, truly. But eventually you're gonna get to Tales of the Jawas, Tales of the Gungans, Tales of the Intergalactic Banking Clan, at which point we will be on our hands and knees begging you for another Jedi story, which puts you in the uncomfortable position of potentially pivoting to the other pathway. Which kind of makes it look like you ran out of ideas for new series, and disappointing the weirdos like me who actually wanted Tales of the Ewoks. Because the Ewok movies brought up a lot of interesting ideas, and I want to know more about their magic, god damn it! Did you know that there's a Night Sister trapped in the form of a raven on Endor? No, of course you didn't know that, because nobody's watched the Ewok movies. Her name is Charl, by the way, and I mean just, like, obviously we need to do something with this character. The aura is insane. And the seed of her return was planted 30 odd years ago. We want answers, Dave Filoni, and I know you do too, because you tried to put Charl in an episode of the Clone Wars, and the cowards wouldn't let you do it. Dave, you own the cowards now. Give us our evil space MILF. And I don't even care how busted the Ewoks would look in the Clone Wars animation style. It's not like they're gonna spend the live action bucks on a new Ewok movie. Got me fucked up about the Ewok movies in the current year of our Lord. Basically, I'm down for as many of these series as you want. Like, truly. Tales of the Mouse Droids. I'd watch it. Just know that eventually you may have to pivot to adding other seasons to the old ones, which I'm super down for, but your other option is to abandon it completely. And you're notorious for doing that. So I'm a little scared. Guys. You've got so many subjects to cover, and not a lot of time and space to flesh them out, which makes the stories feel simultaneously all-encompassing and incomplete. You've got the time to show us Asajj Ventress, but you don't really have the time to make her do anything. And you can't really follow up later because she's not going to be relevant to Tales of the First Order, which means you're going to have to wait for Tales of the Night Sisters. But you've already done an Asajj Ventress story and a Morgan Elsbeth story, so you're going to have to use Farron from Fallen Order and Charl as your two central characters. But Charl is supposed to be the main villain for Tales of the Ewoks. So you see how this is all just a huge giant mess. But I said I had the solution to all this, didn't I? Yes, I have previously claimed to know what the missing ingredient is. And I believe that missing ingredient to be long-form television. You know what one of the best things about the Clone Wars is? It's that there's 30,000 episodes of it. And as much as the quality varies from episode to episode, admittedly consistently throughout the whole series, you still end up falling in love with all of it because you're spending so much time in that setting with those characters. And time is not something that Star Wars Tales of has a lot of. So here's the fix. To deal with the issue of categorization, we need to fold it all into one anthology series. That way it feels less disorganized, but you could still focus on any character at any time. And the issue of time will be dealt with by making the series long form. Let's say, I don't know, around 20 episodes a season. That way you can fit so many more characters and stories in, and it won't be weird if you decide to go back and follow up on one of them. So there's your solution. One long-form anthology series. That's the good news. The bad news is that you already did that. It was called The Clone Wars, and everyone loved it. George Lucas transition.